guys, it's Tyler Casperson from Grace and Silence. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Here we've got Sammy Brue. I'm very excited to have him on the show. We're going to be talking about an upcoming show we have together, his musical journey, his new record, and just the Utah music scene. Hope you enjoy. So Sammy.
Tyler.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you, dude?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you coming and humoring me by letting me do the interview.
Hell yeah, Studio B's looking great.
Thank you.
It's
come along for sure. But we've known each other for a minute, so I kind of wanted to start off the interview just by talking about how we met and just kind of how that relationship formed.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about how we met, then we kind of have to talk about your pops a little bit.
Oh, for sure. 100%. No, a lot of that's because of my dad.
Yeah, I think first time I met your dad, I was just doing a backyard concert in Provo. And Kip's dad and your dad knew each other way back in the day. Reunited.
Way back.
And when he came out to the show in Provo, I was just like, this guy seems really cool, friend of Kip's, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what happens. And then he ended up liking the music. We were doing Brue, which is the band that we'll be playing together later this month. And we kind of just we started talking, and then he showed us the studio out there, and it's kind of just been a friendship that has never ended. Probably won't ever end.
No, and it's been great knowing you, and because of you, I've gotten to understand a lot more about music in general, and just, I've gotten to know a lot more artists around Utah because of the relationship, so I'm very grateful that's a thing. And reminds me just of when we used to just like jam up in Ogden with all those other guys, with Kip and with everybody else. And those are some of my fondest musical memories, just really, that's some of my first experience, just cutting my teeth and playing with people in a live setting. And that was really, really fun for me. You remember the wood block that has your last name there?
The wood block.
Yeah, it's like cut out. It's in the jam. It's like outside of the jam room.
That's right. Yeah,
it says Brue.
Because Pat would so at Kip's place, it was just a bunch of people. Like, of course, it got a little rowdy, and you're a little young, and
yeah, of course,
but you're. By all means, you're better than all of us put together. But yeah, that was kind of where I learned how to jam and solo. And, I've been doing a lot of this with acoustic guitar up until that point. And then I ended up making my own electric. And when we would jam over there, it would be until like 4 a.m. And because we were just playing whatever, didn't care. It didn't matter if it sounded good or not. And didn't matter if we were going to use it or do anything with it. It was just, let's see how we feel right now. And then if I wanted to go smoke a cigarette, someone would take my place on the drums or the guitar or the bass or anything that was going on there. And, I'm glad you brought that up because those were some great times.
Oh, 100%. No, it was very spur of the moment. And there was just something so innate and present about being there.
Yeah.
And it was great. And
we gotta jam more.
We really do, though. We really do. And we always say we're going to.
I always get caught up in the work of the music, which is a good thing, and I'm grateful to have that problem.
For sure.
But sometimes I have to remember that it's like, you're a musician first,
For sure.
Instead of you're a working musician, because you wouldn't be working if you weren't good or you weren't writing good songs or if you didn't learn how to perform. And
for sure. No, totally.
But yeah.
And talking about all those elements, tell me about like the beginning of your musical journey. You're at a more adult stage of it now, where it's a lot more the business side of it, and it's about balancing those aspects. But just kind of tell me about the beginning of your journey and kind of getting to this stage.
Yeah, when I was like, I think 6 or 7, I asked for a guitar for Christmas because I was like, that's something I want to try out. Let's see what happens. And ended up getting this electric guitar and never played it. And I hated it. And I was like, well, I guess guitar isn't for me, kind of thing. And then I started really diving deep into the folk music that I was growing up listening to, and kind of just seeing some of these rough looking dudes shred on acoustic guitar. Or there's one song by Old Crow Medicine Show, We're All in This Together. And when I heard just these acoustic instruments making this symphony of out-of-tune greatness, I was like, I want to try acoustic guitar and let's see where that takes me. And so my dad bought me like $100 Yamaha guitar, and
No shit, a Yamaha.
yeah,
That's the exact
the
acoustic
small,
guitar. That was the acoustic guitar I started with. Was a Yamaha. Yeah.
Those small. I wish I still had it because I love small guitars, and I probably should get one. They're only $100. You know?
Not right.
But I just never put it down after that. And not long after, I was like, okay, well, I know 3 chords. I feel like I should write a song now. And I didn't know what that meant. And me and my dad kind of sat down, and he was just throwing out lyrics. And even as a kid, I was like, nah, it's too to the point, you know? It's too like,
It's too on the nose.
too on the nose, exactly. And I just really took a liking to that aspect, you know. People say I'm a great guitar player, but I really would not consider myself that. And same with a singer, you know, like I don't consider myself a singer. If I had to sing something a cappella, I would throw up.
I think you're a really good singer. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit there. But
it's like that songwriting at the end.
Totally.
Of the day.
No, and that's definitely your forte for sure.
I want to make a vibe. That's what it is. I want someone to either cry or laugh or just think.
Yeah.
You know? And like get that feeling in your chest when you're watching a movie, you know, and you want to cry and you're welling up, and that feeling in your chest, like I wish I could just bottle that up.
100%.
And I was able to partake of it anytime I wanted.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's about, you know, trying to get people to think about something in a different way, you know, trying to, you know, get someone to feel something, to connect.
Yeah, because that's all my favorite songs and bands. Like at some point, I've just been alone in my room looking up at the ceiling, listening to a song, just in another world, you know, just thinking about things that can be possible if I want them to be possible, thinking, you know, really letting the song take you to a place, and like really being vulnerable with an artist, whether they're big or not. Like, it's like, and it almost hits better when the artist isn't that big, you know.
Sure.
When you know someone personally, like I know Branson Anderson, like he's got 3 songs that at any given moment I will start to well up, because I'm just like, I can't believe my friend wrote such a good freaking song.
No, totally. And just talking about, you know, the people we know and the music created around here, you know, where do you see the Utah music scene headed, and what do you feel are the limitations of it, I suppose?
The Utah music scene is an interesting thing. I can't say I hate it, you know. I can't say I love it, just because I've spread myself pretty thin in Utah. Just, you know, I started with the folk thing, and then I started doing punk music and rock music, and then started doing pop music. And, you know, there are people here in Ogden and in Salt Lake who have seen me play in 3 different bands named Sammy Brue, you know, and
Yeah.
and it's kind of my own fault if people don't really know what they're gonna get when they see me here, and I totally get that, and I definitely take the blame, just because, you know, like, so many people loved my folk music, and then they were saying, hey, let's go watch Sammy Brue play, he's this folk artist, and then they show up and I'm with a 3-piece punk band, or I'm with a 2-piece pop band with tracks and
Sure.
all this stuff. And so what I have seen through those experiments, you know, has been nothing but love. You know, for me personally, it's hard to grow a fan base just because people don't know what they're gonna get here. But every single project I've done, there have been just some of the most beautiful shows. You know, Ogden's the first place Utah is the first place I've stage dived. You know, the first place I took off my guitar and just started running into the crowd, pushing people, and like, you remember that stuff when you're 90 years old if you make it that long. And a lot of people, you know, just from what I've seen, like, even in the like more punk and rock thing, you know, people like Sleep Cult and Citrus and all these Logan bands and these Salt Lake bands that, like, you know, it might not be every show they get 200 people out to, but there have been those shows. And it's just really cool to see it, you know, because the first band I've ever seen go from 0 to 100 is the Backseat Lovers.
Yeah.
And I got to witness that personally from watching them at their first album release show. There was like 30, 40 people there, you know, and now they play for $200,000 at some major festival that is everybody's dream to go play. Like,
it's wild.
And to be able to see that makes it feel so possible. You know,
it's within reach, right?
It feels within reach, you know? And that's why I do love the Utah music scene, because, and it's funny because me and KJ used to play together and write songs together and record together. And
KJ's the bass player.
KJ's the bass player. And, you know, and it's just funny. I just went on a tour with him and I was just like, dude, you're literally in a band that has surpassed pretty much everyone who I've ever looked up to. Like, you guys' numbers are bigger, you know, like, concerts are bigger. Like, they play bigger concerts than Charlie Parr, you know, like, and Charlie Parr is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
And it's one of KJ's all-time favorites too, you know, and it's just, it's crazy to see someone go from nothing to something.
For sure. And,
you know, that's why I have faith in Utah. Right now, I think it's known as the Mormon state. Anywhere I go in the country and I say I'm from Utah, it's like, oh, well, are you Mormon?
Sure.
You know? And that's like the outside view of Utah. You know, when you live here, it's completely different. Like,
sure.
Obviously there is obviously Mormon stuff going on here, but it's not like the majority anymore.
Sure. But it's like, you know, when I think of Florida, you know, I think of like bath salts and crocodiles.
Fair point.
That doesn't mean that that's all Florida is. That's just what I think. I don't live there.
I know, but all it takes is like one little movement like Seattle, you know? You think of Washington, you think of Seattle, you think of music, you think of the grunge thing. And I think there will be a certain point in time. I hope I'm still here by that time. But I think people will look at Utah as a music state once more and more bands start coming out and popping off, you know?
Yeah.
There's only a couple right now, and The Moss, Backseat Lovers. I think Crooked Kings are from here, and like these are all bands like doing stuff like
For sure.
touring nationally and selling out theaters, and all it's doing is just giving everyone hope and inspiration to do the same, and I think we really are seeing this snowball effect of just people who are believing in themselves, which is the most important thing,
I completely agree.
and all helping each other out,
For sure. And let's talk about your newest EP, the one that you recorded here. And I just kind of want to talk to you about what that record means to you and what your experience recording at Oasis has been.
Yeah, the EP is called Getting Down That Road, and it's on Bandcamp. I'm currently crowdfunding a record, and so that's why I'm prohibiting myself. I don't know if that's the right word, but
I think it is.
prohibiting myself to only Bandcamp releases so my supporters can support me.
Yeah.
And I will put it out eventually, but
that doesn't mean that people shouldn't go buy it like right now.
It's $6.
$6.
Song.
Do it.
Dollar song. We're slinging songs out here.
Slinging songs. I love it.
Getting Down That Road is the title track, and I just went on tour with my buddies Branson Anderson and KJ Ward, and I started the song out there, and I wanted to write it about missing home.
Yeah.
And then when I got home and wrote that first verse, I was like, well, now I miss the road. I should probably write about that. And, that's where traveling is funny to me, just because you always want what you can't have, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of a general human experience, right?
And that's just my life, I feel like.
Yeah.
Every time you really do go chase a dream, it's like you think about the simpleness back at home. And I always tend to miss that. But then when I'm here, I'm just like, man, I want to go make my dream happen, Even if I have to sleep in my van in 100-degree weather or 40-degree weather.
Yeah.
But all the other songs kind of just stemmed from that song. That song is just the anchor of the whole EP. It's the first track, and I wanted to push myself just because the album I did before that I did in my house just with one microphone.
Love Nocturnal Country though.
Thank you. Yeah, Nocturnal Country does hold a place in my heart just because I had never, in all of my years, which maybe it's a good thing, but I had never had to record my own stuff.
Yeah.
I've always had labels money, and I've always had financial support from said label. And when I realized how much it was to record, I was just like, I'm gonna mix this all. I'm gonna run it all through a 4-track Tascam cassette machine and see how that goes. And it all ended up working out. And then our buddy Scott Rogers mastered it because he was like, well, I don't master. And I was like, figure it out. Just get it done, man. And it came out great. And like, I think that record will have legs one day. That record is really just like my investment into my independent career.
I completely agree. Like when I listen to your music and listening to that record in particular, I think that, after getting to know you, it's the album that makes me think about you the most. It's the album that seems the most like you.
I feel the same. I feel the same exact way. I remember I was 15 and I recorded my first record, and it was out in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, which the reason I recorded there was because they were giving me a tour of the studio and all the studios in the area. And I walked into Fame Studios, which is like the studio that recorded everyone and everything that is just legendary. I walked in and there was just this humongous portrait of Etta James. And she was just looking down, and I was like, I think I want to record the album here, Might as well. I have the financial backing. I didn't know what that meant back in the day, but I had the financial backing and the resources. And so when I did that, it was just this beautiful, beautiful experience being able to jam with musicians who were literally listening to the song 1-2 times through with a sheet of paper. And then they're like, all right, let's go do it. And live in a studio without a click, we're all jamming this song for the first time. And that's what went on the record.
Yeah. No, those, I don't think people really understand, the caliber of musician you have to be a real studio guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be an assassin.
And then, I make this record and I come back home, and then all of a sudden it's me, KJ, and our buddy Tanner, and we're like, okay, how are we going to recreate these pieces of music that just between the musicians have 100+ years of experience in?
For sure.
And me and KJ were teenagers, and Tanner was just a little older than us.
Yeah.
We're just figuring it out, And so there has always been that disconnect between me and my studio records for that reason, because like I said, I love the Utah music scene, but people really don't understand the caliber of experience and talent in places like the South.
Oh, yeah.
Where a janitor can shred harder than a whole room of people who are trying to do music professionally in Utah.
Yeah, there's certain areas in the United States where it seems that these incredibly talented musicians just are bred.
Bred. Like Marcus King. Before we get into that, but that disconnect between me and my studio records.
Yeah.
Nocturnal Country was that connect. I finally felt connected to a record. And
I love that.
I felt like I could just show up with an acoustic guitar and give the people what they want if they have listened to that record. The first 2 records that I have are just so overproduced. Not even overproduced, they're just so produced with legendary people that, all of a sudden it's a 16-year-old kid playing acoustic guitar with these songs. And with me, if I fall in love with a record and I go see it played, I personally want it to be somewhat close to that product that I fell in love with.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to obviously be identical, but you want it to be, you want the soul of that to be the same.
Yes.
For sure. No, I completely agree.
And Nocturnal Country was that for me, because it was like, I'm going to sound better sonically live, because the whole album hisses at you. It's just in the background because of the tape, and that's just like a dirty, it's dusty. Still to this day, the tape machine is just covered in dust, and there's something new wrong with it every time I go back and try to do something with it. And it's like that almost adds greatness onto what you do live if it sounds sonically better.
Yeah, no, totally.
And I don't know.
And we've talked a lot about the folk stuff, but let's get into kind of the show that we're going to be playing together. And so let's talk about Brue.
Brue is, for the longest time, it was a 3-piece punk band. And I'm kind of just making a change. Kip Congo and Mowgli. Kip is in a band called Congo and Co. Mm-hmm. And Mowgli is in a band called Guava Tree. And he's playing bass for the Moss now.
Oh, that's cool.
We were the 3-piece, and we were doing it for years. We never ended up recording anything. We were really just like a live band, and it felt like we were doing pretty good for a minute, and then, you know, everybody just gets caught up in their own work. You know, everyone has their own band and everyone has their own desires, and from the beginning we wanted Brue to just be fun. We want Brue to be fun. We want it to be our outlet where we can just scream, go crazy, act like hooligans for one night.
Totally.
And after a while, we all got busy. Me, Mowgli, and Kip kind of parted ways, growing separately. And I've always loved Brue in my heart just because I love rock music.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't? And I was like, I want to keep this going, but I don't want a 3-piece. I want to do something different. And so I hit up my buddy Cooper Judkins from a band called Lovesick here in Ogden. And we're kind of just doing a 2-piece blues rock thing where it's just guitar and drums. And we're really going heavy in on the blues. And I want to really dive into that side of rock and roll music.
Yeah, I've sat and listened to you guys and helped you record a bit, and it's really fun to hear. Like, that music's really, really fun to hear, and I think that it doesn't sound unpolished, but there's a certain amount of, it's raw, it's there, it's real.
Yeah, I told Cooper, because Cooper, when he gets in a studio, you know, like he wants it to be a certain way. He's very sure about his vision. And with this, I was like, listen, I just want to get in there. I want to set up microphones. I want to play the song how we've been rehearsing them. And let's just put out music that way. We have one song out, not even on Spotify. I think we put it on YouTube or something. It's called Fire, and it's just the more bluesy track that we have, because I just want
it was fun
to
to
show
that
people that, you know, it's not punk. You know, I was like almost throwing up on stage at these punk shows, and it was just a lot on my body and a lot on my mind, you know, trying to get in this place of like anger to perform the best that you can. And this stuff, you know, when it comes to blues, like blues is just folk's sister, you know?
Yeah, it's like drunk as all
gnarly
hell.
older brother. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely
gnarly
agree.
older brother who like paved way for all of the like rock and roll punk hooligans, you know?
For sure.
And yeah, I just wanted to dive more deep into that stuff. So I'm excited to play in Ogden. We played a show at Metro Music Hall in Salt Lake, and it was pretty, can I swear?
Yeah, that's totally fine. I don't give a shit.
I was like, wait, hold on. Is this live? And it was pretty fucking awesome. And we played with Sleep Cult and Mopsy.
Yeah.
And
I like Mopsy a lot. They're really fun.
I love Mopsy, dude. Like,
they're just cool dudes.
Genuine guys, too.
For sure. Just, I mean, I really like their music as well, you know, but I think I even like them even more.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
and I'm the
hanging out
same
with
way with Sleep Cult, too. Like, genuinely, like, Sleep Cult are some of the chillest dudes I've hung out with. And I love them with my heart, and I love their music, and I love their live show energy. Like, even at the show, they were all kind of like, oh, it didn't sound good. We kept breaking strings. And I was just like, dude, like, you guys are rock and roll as fuck. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, you guys could do anything. And a lot of these people are still going to be like, fuck yeah, Sleep Cult. And like, like just that energy, I can't stay away from for too long. Just because
I totally understand. It's like it pulls you back in.
It does every time. Like I definitely like chilled it out, you know. I'm not constantly in the mosh pit, but like I see a mosh pit going, I'm like Start pushing me,
For sure.
give Pickles my glasses, and I'm just like, hold my hat. Like,
100%. No, I'm excited to do some of that on the 24th.
Yeah, dude, and we're just gonna play in a graffitied alleyway. It's gonna be
it's gonna
sick.
be a legit show. I'm really, really excited for that show. We've got a few. I think we've got four shows in August. But that's probably I don't know. I don't think I could say if I'm more excited about any of them, but I'm really excited about that one.
Well, that's like I don't know, because we are doing it free. We're doing it donation based, which
and I hope
it could go either way, but like that's just what rock and roll is for, man. Like I'm sure all of our favorite rock bands, they've played these free shows for 1,000 people and didn't see a dime afterwards, and it
is what it is. Right?
And it's just
and I think it's about we get the opportunity to perform, and that's great in and of itself without any external compensation. I mean, we already get to do something we love.
Oh yeah,
and
just get loud. Just get loud. Come get loud with us. I'm looking in this camera. Come get loud.
You want to talk, Justin?
Yes, please. I've been working on this. I've been crowdfunding a record. For now, it's called The Lost Songs of Justin Townes Earle. Justin Townes Earle is a hero of mine, one of my favorite songwriters of all time, and I got to meet him when I was really young. And you're a kid, you're looking at your favorite musician, and you think he's a superstar, which he is in my eyes. But he was just the kind of dude that was just outside of the venue before he played, and we happened to meet him, and we walked up, we got a picture, he signed my guitar, and he took a real liking to me. And then next time he came through, I was about 13, and he was like, I want you to come to Nashville, and I want you to be on the cover of my record, Single Mothers. And so we did a little photo shoot, and he flew me and my dad out, and for the longest time, I was just known as the kid on the Justin Townes Earle album cover. And then when I was 16, he brought me on tour, and I am privileged enough to say that I had this relationship with one of my heroes and one of the people I really looked up to and wanted to be like. And in 2020, he passed away, and that's when I kind of really started experimenting with punk music and different forms of music, just because Justin was really one of the only folk and Americana artists that I liked, and I've even had this conversation with Branson. He was just like, at a certain point, Americana and roots and stuff, it just becomes another mainstream genre for people. And, me and Branson were just like, dude, he really was just the only good one. He was just the best one. And when he died, I was just like, I'm going to put up the acoustic guitar for a little bit and start messing around, just because it was hard to play that kind of stuff. Justin is my first death. I've never lost anyone in my life. I've never lost a grandparent. I've never lost a parent, sibling, cousin, aunt, uncle, anyone, which I'm so fortunate to say that. But Justin was like not only a superstar to me, but like an older brother,
a mentor.
And so I really did kind of just push it aside, and I was just like, I don't want to cry anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when I started just screaming and getting loud and, just trying out everything just to mask how I feel. And then I took about 2 years to write this song for him called For Justin. And the first verse was really just like, hey man, I miss you. You know, I'm growing up and I realize how much you were struggling in your life, because he has just a really troubled past. He was born into a tricky situation and around people that were not so great to him. And then the second verse I took the longest, because it's just a bunch of lyrics with his song lyrics, of all my favorite songs from him. And when I finally got done with the song, I was like, well, I should probably start playing folk music again. And this was around the time I was like, I want to make a folk EP. It's fall, you know, colors are changing, the mood is shifting. And I started diving into this folk record, which would turn into Nocturnal Country eventually. And I was going to put For Justin on there, and I called, me and my dad called up Jen. We were like, hey, I got this song For Justin, would love to send it to you. I want you to own the masters to it. If it makes any money, it'll go to you, you know?
Jen?
And Jen is his wife.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't clarify that.
No, you're fine.
Jen is his wife, and I wanted her to own the master to this song. And she was like, well, before you do that, I have piles and piles of journals and stuff that he has written, songs, thoughts, and stories. I would love for you to take a look through it, see what you can do. Let's do a full record of that kind of stuff. And we jumped on the opportunity very, very quick, just because I had never heard of anything like that. And it was like a moment of like, okay, I have to do this. Everything is going to be put on pause, you know? Or more so, everything is just starting instead of pausing. And so we got to go up to their house, beautiful country home. And I got to meet his daughter for the first time. And, you know, she was just saying these little things like, you know, you play guitar like my dad. And we were looking through these journals, me, Jen, and Edda. Edda is Justin's daughter. And it was the first time in a long time I had gotten that feeling in my chest where I was just like, this seems like a thing that is going to help out a lot of people. Not only me, but people like Edda. I'm like looking at, like, I've never lost anyone in my life except for Justin. And this 6-year-old girl lost her dad before I had lost anyone, you know, and to look through her dad's journals, we were laughing, and like, I was trying not to cry. And I wrote the album really, really quick. I got to take the journals home, and it's just been an experience. Like every day there is something new. Like when I go to put my head on my pillow when I go to sleep, it's so hard because I know there's more I could be doing for this record. But it's all coming together day by day. I think we're recording first week of September out in Muscle Shoals again. We're going to keep it singer-songwriter, folk, you know, guitar, vocal, and maybe an instrument of some sort behind, slide guitar. And just because I want to honor his early days, because I feel like I'm still in those early days. You know, I can try to make an amazing Justin Townsville record, but the fact of the matter is Justin just wrote based on experience. Like, he turned down record labels because they wanted him to write 25 songs a year. And he was like, that's throw up. You know, he was the kind of guy who would take 3 years to write 10 songs.
Yeah.
Because that's how much effort and time and energy and thought he put into these songs. And he knew that he had to experience something heartache for a year to write a song about heartache.
Yeah.
Which is just like, which is crazy to me.
No,
You
I
know?
think it shows a kind of perspective, right, on life, you know, outside of music, just understanding how those experiences relate to what you can create, you know?
Yeah, and it was never about guitar for him or riffs or
Sure.
melody. It was really stamping how he feels in full detail. And like literally, if you listen to a Justin Townes Earle song, like you are catching a glimpse into this dude's brain, into how this guy feels in a troubled soul, you know, and he has become like a beacon for troubled souls. Like he has helped so many people along the way, and you know, just to be able to be a part of this, like it's hard not to feel imposter syndrome.
Sure.
You know, just because, you know, I wrote these 10 songs with his journals in like not even a year, because I was just so inspired and so ready to go. And but you know, that's just my way of doing things. And
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily worse. It's just different, right?
yeah, it's just hard not to feel like that.
Sure.
You know?
No. But where can people donate to the record?
We are crowdfunding on GoFundMe.com. The fundraiser is called The Lost Songs of Justin Townes Earle.
The Lost Songs of Justin Townes Earle.
Yes. And go listen to some Justin Townes Earle, dude. You won't regret. Just start from the top. Yuma.
Awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, and I've had a great time.
Yeah, dude, this is awesome. I hope you continue to do this.
Yeah. No,
and
for sure.
I hope you continue to bring me back on.
Yeah. No, totally, man. And we do have to jam more. We can't stop. We got to stop talking about it.
Yeah, we could write a song in Studio B.
At least somebody's thinking.
And we can have your dad just lock the door and until we go crazy and we start breaking stuff.
I agree.
And then we'll finish this.
And then we'll finish this. I appreciate you, man.
Love you, brother.
I love you too.
I try, we see, we fight.